this is the weekly rune for the week of October 10th, 2021. As you can see, this looks a little bit different than the way it normally does. As I sat down with the runes, I could not get myself out of the way of where the rune cast needed to go. And so instead of working with the intuitive runes at all, I'm sticking with the half-month runes, which are Gebo currently, and it transitions on Wednesday, the 13th, at 11 apparent local time. So you'll have to do a little bit of calculation to figure out what that means for your area specifically. But we transition from Gebo into Wunjo. The time that we have spent with Gebo has been talking about this sense of not being able to experience the inner truth versus what's happening outside, right? That's been kind of the story of this whole new runic year since June. And Gebo in particular was pointing out that in order to really have the goods to cope with what's coming up in our world, in what it means to be a human on the planet at this time and for the foreseeable time going forward, we have to be able to cope with the internal collapse that is happening. Meaning we can't just go great guns on trying to heal the external collapse or even trying to facilitate the external collapse without acknowledging what the internal collapse is first. And in a way, that order of operations is implied, like we get to do that first and then we deal with the external collapse. But of course, that's not what's happening. Like, external collapse is happening right now. And by some scientific models, it has been happening for at least the last 30, 40 years. But we have to deal with the internal collapse alongside it. And for us, for humans who have this priority of needs and order of operations, we can't juggle both of those things at the same time. So yes, the external is already underway, but really the internal was already underway too. This isn't a collapse that is happening because of the pandemic. It's happening because of all of the undealt with things in our personal lives. If we're going to talk about weird weaving, right, we're talking about all of the things in our personal lives, our personal past, our collective past, which means how we weave into our community's past, how we weave into our immediate family's past, and our ancestral past, as well as that of the whole planet, if we're covering the whole range of things, the whole known range of things. So, we're talking about an internal collapse also that has been underway for a long time. So all of the framing runes with Gebo up to this point have been talking about dealing with that internal stuff, like get the dream team involved, understand what you need. And if you don't understand what you need, go to trusted people on your dream team who can help you figure out what that is and start the dismantling process internally, start the healing process internally, whatever that means for you. So that, I think, is a good memo to carry forward, even though we don't have the framing runes to quantify or qualify that for us. I think it's a good memo to take further into Wunjo, which we know is all about joy. Joy in the context that it is put forward in the runes is sort of about a state of perfection. And I don't mean perfect in kind of the way we look at it from a modern standpoint, which is everything's fine, like literally it's fine. but more that everything is being taken into account, and that regardless of what that account is, we're still able to find some balance. We're still able to find some sense of joy anyway. And I think that's a pretty good message given that whole internal, external collapse that we're all feeling, that our bodies are all experiencing, and our wiring, literal wiring and energetic wiring, are experiencing. So, with Wunjo this week, I would say we need to be able to come back to our embodiment and our grounding, our as full a sense of ourselves as possible, and be able to use that fuller experience of inner cosmology as resources to help us tap into joy.